Pack your bags, we're headed on a big old ride, with dreams of sunlit shores and the open skies, from the hills of Cyprus to where the world collides.
All right, everybody, buckle up. We're about to embark on a deep dive that'll have you reaching for your maps and dreaming of the open road.
We're talking about Australia. Coastlines, kangaroos, the lot. This time, we're diving into a 2006 road trip from Sydney to Melbourne.
And trust me, this isn't your typical we saw this, we ate that kind of travelogue. This one is full of those little moments, the ones that make you realize, hey, that's what travel's all about.
Exactly. They've got this way of describing things. Each stop, it's not just, oh, we went here, we went there. You really get a feel for the place.
Right from the get-go, our travelers start in Sydney, but they're itching for that open road,
Yeah.
And that first stop, Bully.
Yeah. They talk about this relaxed cafe culture, the salty air mixing with the aroma of coffee.
I'm already picturing it. Sun shining, you're sipping on something delicious, just watching the world go by.
And then it's back on the road, south to Ulladulla this time.
Which, from what I gather, is like the quintessential Australian coastal town, right?
Oh, absolutely. Seafood by the seafront, that fresh air. They even mention this place called Tiger's Fish Bar. Makes you wonder if, fish and chips just taste better when you're, right there by the ocean.
Oh, 100%. Food always tastes better when you're on an adventure, doesn't it? But knowing our travelers, they don't stay put for too long.
Yep, they're off again. This time, it's Bateman's Bay. And this is where you really start to see the variety of the Australian coastline, even just in this one trip.
It's remarkable, isn't it? How much can change in just a day's drive? But they don't stop there, do they?
Not a chance. Next up is Narooma, a town that seems to just ooze charm, at least from what they describe.
Narooma, okay. What did they get up to there? Did they mention any hidden gems?
Oh, they did. Forster's Lodge, for one, panoramic views of the bay. But they also stumbled upon this place, the Narooma Sports and Social Club.
Oh, I love those kinds of places, the ones that are a little off the beaten path, where you can really get a feel for the local scene.
Exactly. They don't go into too much detail, but they do talk about the sense of community there, the warmth of the locals.
It's those little interactions, those unexpected moments of connection that can really make a trip, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. But, like all good things, their time in Narooma had to come to an end. They were back on the road again, and this time, Eden.
Eden. It's got a certain ring to it, doesn't it? What's the story there?
Well, they described it as a little quieter, a little, I guess you could say, melancholic, haunted by the history of the whaling industry.
It's a good reminder that even in the most beautiful places, there is often a complex history just below the surface.
Very true. But ever the adventurers, our travelers shake off those somber vibes and hit the road again. And get this, they actually cross the state border into Victoria.
A whole new state, a whole new chapter in their adventure. Where does this new leg of the journey take them?
Well, they end up in a place that sounds like it's straight out of a postcard Malakuta.
Malakuta. Okay, you got to give me more on this one. What makes it so special?
You remember how we talked about those you won't believe this moments? Well, picture this. They're driving around the lakes near Malakuta, just taking in the scenery, when suddenly...
Suddenly what? Don't leave me hanging.
Suddenly, they have a close encounter with a mob of wild kangaroos.
No way. Kangaroos just casually hanging out. Okay, see, this is why I love these deep dives.
Yeah.
You just never know what you're going to get.
And you know what? It's like that encounter, those kangaroos kind of set the tone for the rest of their trip.
Oh, you're saying Malakuta wasn't the only place they had a run-in with Australia's wildlife. Give me the details.
So they make their way to this little town, Paynesville, cute little waterside village, but the real draw. Raymond Island, just a quick ferry right away.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's so special about Raymond Island?
Koalas? Loads of them. Apparently they outnumber the people there.
Wait, seriously? A whole island practically overrun by koalas. All right, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Did they talk about the ferry ride over?
They did. They said it was beautiful, the sunlight on the water, that feeling of, anticipation building as you get closer. Sounds like it added to the whole experience.
There's something about anticipation when you're traveling, isn't there? That sense of excitement for what's to come. But I'm dying to know, did they actually find all those koalas on Raymond Island?
Oh, they did. Described them just lounging in the trees, munching away on those eucalyptus leaves, completely unbothered by the people watching them.
I can only imagine. That must have been something else, seeing them in their natural habitat like that.
They said it was surreal, like walking into a nature documentary.
It's a good reminder, isn't it, that these creatures, these incredible animals, they're out there living their lives, And we sometimes get to just, I don't know, get a glimpse into their world.
Absolutely. And speaking of incredible experiences, the next day, they went on get this, a wine cruise.
Okay, hold on. A wine cruise. Did they trade in the rental car for a yacht?
Not quite. It was more of a leisurely cruise on the Gippsland Lakes. Beautiful scenery, some local wine. Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, a leisurely cruise through the Gippsland Lakes with some wine does sound pretty amazing, actually. Do they happen to mention which winery they visited?
They do. They raved about a place called the Cork. Rustic, charming. You can just imagine the vineyards, the smell of the grapes.
Oh, yeah. I could practically smell it now. But knowing these two, they couldn't just relax and enjoy the view forever, could they? What adventure did they find next?
Well, they eventually made their way back to the coast, this time to a place I think you've heard of, 90 Mile Beach.
90 Mile Beach. That name always sounded so vast, like something out of a legend. Did they describe it?
Oh, they did. An endless stretch of golden sand, the Gippsland Lakes meeting the Southern Ocean. They said it just screamed, Australia!
I bet that raw, wild beauty sounds incredible.
They talked about that fresh, salty air, the sound of the waves crashing, just that feeling of being completely surrounded by nature.
It makes you realize, sometimes the best moments are the simplest ones. Just being present in a place, soaking it all in. But even the most beautiful beach can't hold you forever, right? Where to next?
They eventually tore themselves away from 90 Mile Beach and continued on towards Phillip Island. But on the way, they stumbled upon this little town called Yarram.
Yarram? I've never heard of it. What caught their attention there?
They said it was like stepping back in time, old world charm, a slower pace of life. They even stopped for some coffee and toasties at a cute little cafe.
Sometimes those little detours, the unplanned stops, they turn out to be the most memorable parts of a trip.
I agree. And with that little taste of small town life, they finally reached Phillip Island.
Phillip Island. Now, that's a place I've always wanted to visit. Penguins, koalas, the whole 9 yards. What were their first impressions?
Well, they ended up in this lively coastal town called Cowes, the gateway to Phillip Island. It's known for its beautiful beaches and
the penguin parade. Tell me they saw the penguin parade.
You already know they did, but that's a story for our next deep dive.
Phillip Island. All right, now we're talking. Penguins, beaches, that rugged coastline. Did our travelers soak it all in?
Oh, they dove right in. Started with one of Phillip Island's biggest claims to fame, actually.
But the penguin parade, I was hoping they'd catch that.
Front row seats, from the sounds of it. They described the penguins waddling up from the water. Said it was like a scene out of a movie. Those little guys returning home after a long day.
It's those kinds of experiences, witnessing nature doing its thing, that's the magic of travel right there.
Yeah.
But I bet they didn't stop at penguins, did they?
Phillip Island. Oh, there's plenty more to see. The very next morning, they found themselves in Rill, a little fishing village.
Rill. Quaint harbor, fresh seafood. Can practically smell the salt air.
That's exactly how they described it. They even had breakfast at a place called the Temuka Cafe Cliffside, overlooking the water.
Oh, wow. Breakfast with a view. And that's how you start the day.
Mm.
But knowing these two, they weren't content to just sit still for too long.
You know it. They were back on the road before you know it, heading for another one of Phillip Island's highlights. This time, San Remo. And this is where things get interesting.
Interesting. How did they stumble across some hidden market or something?
Not quite. Remember how we talked about unexpected encounters? Well, in San Remo, they witnessed the, shall we say, legendary pelican feeding frenzy.
Hold on, back up. A pelican feeding frenzy.
Every day, the local fishermen, they share their catch with these pelicans. And let me tell you, these birds don't mess around when it comes to a free meal.
Okay, that I've got to see. Pelicans are such characters, aren't they? A little bit awkward, a little bit majestic. Did our travelers get any good photos?
Oh, I'm sure they did. They even mentioned some rays joining in the action, swimming around the pelicans, said it was like nature's own little circus.
I love that. You just never know what you're going to see when you travel, do you? Those are the moments you remember.
Absolutely. But their Phillip Island adventure wasn't over just yet. Next up, they found themselves at the Knobbies.
The Knobbies? Okay, no, those are some dramatic cliffs.
Yeah.
And that view of the ocean. Breathtaking. What drew our travelers there?
Aside from the scenery, wildlife spotting, this time it was seals.
No way. Seals. Like right there.
Right there. The Knobbies overlook Seal Island, apparently home to a whole colony of Australian fur seals. They said it was incredible watching these animals just lounging, playing completely in their element.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? We share this planet with some pretty amazing creatures.
Yeah.
But all good trips must come to an end, right? Did they make it to Melbourne?
They did. Final destination reached. Said the drive inland was a stark change of scenery, though. Those coastal views giving way to rolling hills, sheep grazing in the fields.
It's like they traveled through a whole bunch of different worlds in just one trip. Did they have any final thoughts on Melbourne itself?
Just a brief mention of the city's energy, that mix of old and new. They didn't go into too much detail.
I imagine after all that wide open space, all those incredible encounters, even a city as vibrant as Melbourne might feel a bit confining.
You might be right. But hey, that's the beauty of a road trip, isn't it? The journey itself is just as important as the destination, maybe even more so.
Couldn't agree more. It's about those unexpected moments, the connections you make, the things you see that stay with you long after you've unpacked your bags. That's what we're all searching for, right?
Absolutely. That sense of wonder, the feeling that there's always something new to discover just around the corner.
This deep dive has been a fantastic reminder of that. To all you listeners out there, keep exploring. Keep that sense of adventure alive, because you never know what wonders are waiting to be discovered. Until next time.
Why have you life planned where we never hide?
Out on the highway, chasing the tide.